People who work at remote places like forest officers, oil rig workers, etc. What creepy things have you noticed while at work? I grew up on my family's cattle ranch about 20 miles outside of Amarillo, Texas. We had about 300 head of cattle spread across roughly 500 acres, plus all the usual farm buildings, barn, equipment sheds, grain silos, that sort of thing. My parents, Bill and Janet, had been running the operation since before I was born, and I'd been helping with chores and farm work for as long as I could remember. When I was in high school, I had this group of friends who would come out to the ranch pretty regularly, especially on weekends. Most of them were town kids who thought the farm was this exotic, interesting place compared to their suburban neighborhoods. I got a kick out of messing with them by taking advantage of how unfamiliar they were with the property. My favorite game was what I called forced hide and seek. When one of my friends would show up, I'd see their headlights coming down our long gravel driveway and immediately grab whoever was already there to go hide somewhere on the property. The new arrival would get out of their car, realize nobody was around to greet them, and have to either wander around in the dark trying to find us or go knock on the house and ask my parents where I was. My parents thought this was hilarious and would usually just tell them, "Too bad, you'll have to find her yourself." The ranch had plenty of good hiding spots. Equipment sheds, haylofts, grain bins, patches of mesquite trees, old cattle pens. We knew every inch of the property while our friends were stumbling around trying to navigate an unfamiliar place in the dark with just their phone flashlights or whatever. One Friday night in October, my friend Marcus was over hanging out, and we were expecting our friend Tyler to show up around 9 p.m. It was one of those clear, cool autumn nights where you could see every star in the sky. When we saw Tyler's truck headlights turning off the main road, Marcus and I immediately took off running in different directions. I saw Marcus duck into the equipment shed where my dad kept the tractors and smaller farm machinery. It was a good hiding spot because it had multiple rooms and lots of places to crouch down behind equipment. I decided to head for this cluster of mesquite trees about 100 yards behind the main barn. There was a thick patch of brush underneath the trees that provided excellent cover, and I'd used it as a hiding spot before. I crawled under the bushes and settled in to wait for Tyler to find us. The mesquite thorns were annoying, but I was wearing thick jeans and a heavy jacket, so it wasn't too bad. I could see Tyler's truck parked by the house and watched him get out and start looking around for us. I'd been hiding for maybe 10 minutes when I heard something that made my blood run cold. It was breathing. Slow, deliberate human breathing that was definitely not coming from me. Someone else was in those bushes, probably no more than 10 or 15 feet away from where I was crouched. At first I thought maybe Marcus had changed hiding spots and ended up in the same area as me, but I'd clearly seen him go into the equipment shed, and this breathing sounded different anyway. Deeper, more labored, like someone who was trying to stay quiet but couldn't quite control their breathing. The sound was coming from deeper in the brush, toward the back of the tree line where it bordered one of our pastures. I stayed completely still and tried to figure out what I was hearing. There were no cattle in that particular pasture. We'd moved them to a different section of the ranch the week before. No other animals that would breathe like that either. I was getting seriously creeped out. This was our property, our land that I'd grown up on, and someone else was hiding in the bushes in the middle of the night. I couldn't think of any innocent explanation for why someone would be lurking in our mesquite trees at 9 p.m. on a Friday. I decided I didn't want to play this game anymore. I crawled out of the bushes as quietly as I could and ran back toward the house where Tyler was still wandering around calling our names. When I appeared, he started laughing and asking where Marcus was. I told them both that the game was over and we should just go inside. The rest of the evening felt wrong somehow. I kept thinking about that breathing and couldn't shake the feeling that someone had been watching us. I didn't tell Marcus or Tyler what I'd heard because I didn't want to sound paranoid or crazy. Around 2 a.m., my dad got up because he heard some kind of commotion outside. He grabbed his rifle and went out to check on things but didn't see anything unusual. The next morning, when he went out to do the morning chores, he found one of our steers dead in the pasture next to where I'd been hiding. The animal had been butchered. Someone had killed it and taken most of the meat, leaving just the head and some of the bones. I'd been hiding